Thanks. So my name is Simon Bella. Thank you for this invitation. And yeah, I'm gonna talk about how we can use atmospheric CO2 concentration measurement to calibrate the ORCIDE parameters. So I'm just gonna show you this small analysis where we took 12 land surface model and 7 atmospheric inversion from the Trendy database from the GCB. And here what we can see is time series of the net land carbon fluxes, in purple for the atmospheric inversion and in green for the land surface model. And we can see here at global scales and for north latitude and tropics latitude. And we can see that we have a huge differences between the spatial distribution of this land sink, especially on the north, where the atmospheric inversion tends to put a bigger sink. So there were many studies that tried to understand why we have such a differences, more notably the O'Sullivan and al. 2025, that mainly explains that these differences was mainly due because in LSM, we did not account well for the land use change and the fire losses, and also because we do not simulate well this RIGRO process. And by estimating these three processes and adding it to the NEP from the LSM, it could recover in northern latitude the carbon sink between LSM and inversion. So here we wanted to see whether we could use this atmospheric CO2 concentration measurement to calibrate the ORCIDE parameters, and also if it help to reconcile the ORCIDE model with atmospheric inversion estimates. Why do we want to use this kind of data? Because it gives us a global constraint for the calibration, seeing all the carbon components, all the components of the carbon cycle, sorry. And it also allows to close the carbon cycle as the atmosphere is really mixed, so we can see all the signal of the surfaces. And also because it's the same constraints that it's used for the atmospheric inversion. So we think that by using the same constraints, we should get the same information. So to assimilate this kind of data, we will compare two scenarios. The first one where we only use ORCIDE to represent the land surface, that we call ORCIDE SMIP6, where we fix the fossil emission and geoshop uptake. And a second one that we will call ORCIDE corrected, that follow mainly what O'Sullivan says by adding a fire emission product. So we took the GFAT5 here because we do not simulate that in ORCIDE, and also by adding a small rigorous correction model. So here, what you can see is above ground biomass curves of the forest regrowth. So it's the biomass above ground on the y-axis compared to the age. For in green, the data-driven estimates, which is derived from the global age maps of BESNAR and the ESA biomass product, and the same products from the ORCIDE estimates in black. And you can also see on the bottom the derived fluxes of this variance in biomass. So basically, you can see how we regrowth forest compared to the data-driven estimates in ORCIDE. And basically, we see that in ORCIDE, we have a really fast regrowth, and we cannot therefore simulate well the regrowth because it's way smaller. So we see a shift of the peak of the carbon fluxes by 30 to 50 years for some different regions. So here what we wanted is to design a product that were correcting the fact that we do not account for age in ORCIDE, and also we do not simulate this regrowth correctly. And we apply the differences of these two curves that we could see here on the global forest age. And it gives us this kind of product where basically it's a correction that for two missing processes, the fact that we do not have ages and the fact that we do not regrowth well the trees in ORCIDE. So to assimilate the atmospheric concentration, we use an ensemble for the var method that was used by Pennington et al. 2020, where basically we design an ensemble and we use this ensemble to change the for the var classic minimize cost function and that we want to minimize. And it allows us to compute the gradient of this cost function without having the adjoint. So I'm not going to present all the detail of this method. It has already been presented, but we see that this method were a good candidate to assimilate atmospheric CO2 concentration. So we published a comparison of this method and a classic variational DA method where we use finite differences to have the adjoint, and we see that it was better fitting the observation. So in this case, it was synthetic observation. It was less impacted by local minima, and it was also less expensive. So in this case, we will calibrate the two scenarios using this protocol, where basically we have 69 stations between 2010 and 2014. So we use monthly observation, and we will also pre-spin up the model about 5 years to account for parameters that only account for slow processes such as respiration. And we focus the result on the validation period, which will be between 2010 and 2022, and use way more station, 118. So because we want, so here what you can see is all the parameters that we have calibrated. So we have several parameters that were selected based on past studies because they are sensitive to these net fluxes. And because we are calibrating this at global scales, we calibrate all the PFT, so it gives us a total of 125 parameters at the end. Here is just a diagram to show the new couplings that we have done to perform these experiments. So basically, we have the ORCIDAS system, ORCIDE data assimilation system, that is the system that we use to calibrate ORCIDE parameters, and we redo the coupling between ORCIDE and the atmospheric transport model LMDZ by using the CIF, the Community Inversion Framework, which is a Python tool developed by Bercher et al. 2020, which is developed to perform atmospheric inversion. But in this case, we only do forward simulation because we don't need the backward run, and which help us to extract the atmospheric CO2 concentration to compare it with the measurement. So what we can see here is the result of the calibration for the two scenarios. In green, the ORCIDE corrected, and in blue, the ORCIDE synopsis. And we can see on the top the RMSD, so the solid line are the posterior RMSD, and the dashed line, the prior RMSD, for each station from south to north. And on the bottom, we can see the RMSD reduction. So basically, we can see that for most of the site, we really reduce the RMSD. So this is for the validation period. Sorry, I forgot to mention. But at the end, when we compare the two scenarios, we seem to have at the average the same fit to the station. There is some case where a station is a better fit within one scenario than the other, but it's just a compensation stuff. So here what you can see, for example, here is two stations that compensate each other. And on the average, we have more or less the same fit to the atmospheric station. So what is interesting is to see the surface flux that we derive from this calibration. So here, what we see is the carbon budget over 2010 to 2022. In gray, we have the fossil emission. Here is the ocean uptake, the land uptake, what stay in the atmosphere, and the budget in balance. So we can see that in both cases, ORCIDE synopsis and ORCIDE corrected, we do close the carbon budget over this period, which is great because the calibration was only for the 5 first years. And we can see here the distribution of the north and tropic sink. where we have represented in blue the Orchidea semipsis, in green the Orchidea corrected, and in purple the atmospheric inversion mean and ensemble. And we can see that in both cases we could reach the same distribution of the sink than the atmospheric inversion, with a slight advantage for the Orchidea corrected on the north sink. Here is the maps of these carbon fluxes. So here is the Orchidea that we sent to Trendy, so without correction. Here is the mean of the atmospheric inversion. Here is the posterior run of the Orchidea semipsic scenario, and here is the Orchidea corrected scenario, the posterior run. And what we can see is that basically, even if we match the same distribution of the north to tropic sink, we do not have the same longitude distribution, especially on the post-Orchidea semipsics, where the sink were mainly put on the Siberian forest, which does not seem to be the case in the atmospheric inversion and in the corrected version. So if we look at the regional carbon fluxes between the same period, we can see that in purple, we have the mean of the atmospheric inversion, in blue, the posterior Orchidea semipsics case, and in gray, the posterior Orchidea corrected case for different regions. And in Europe and Boreal Asia, we have a huge differences between the posterior Orchidea semipsis compared to the atmospheric inversion mean, which is not the case with the Orchidea corrected version, which it's also a bit better on the tropics, especially in South America, where we see that the posterior Orchidea semipsis case still perform a large thing compared to atmospheric inversion mean, and that the Orchidea corrected is a bit better. So the take-home messages is that we can calibrate a model with atmospheric measurement, but we need to really be careful because we can really compensate missing processes and end up with not a better model. And so also that the rigorous processes and the disturbances was really important, as it was already highlighted by O'Sullivan and many other studies. And therefore, we need to better modelize these processes in order to have a better net length sink prediction in the model. So thank you for the invitation.